Students, today we are starting the new chapter called as Laws of Motion, known also as Newton's Laws of Motion. So this chapter is very important from the board perspective as well as from the competitive exam. So without any delay, we shall start with the chapter. The chapter name is Laws of Motion. Now, in the previous chapter, we have studied about the motion in a straight line and motion in a plane. So, till now, we were studying the branch of kinematics, where in the kinematics, we had told that, so it's a branch of mechanics where we deal with the consequence of motion without taking the cause of motion into the account. So here we dealt with the consequence of motion. We dealt with the consequence of motion without considering the cause of motion. So without considering the cause of motion was the aim of the previous two chapters, without considering the cause of motion. So in motion in a straight line, that was in one-dimensional motion, where we discussed few important topics, and those important topics which are very useful for this chapter is the equations of motion. So we need the equations of motion, which is the utmost basic or the backbone of the mechanics. So we had considered there are mainly 3 equations, but we considered 5 equations as most important. So the first one is V equals U plus AT. The second one is S equals UT plus half AT square. And the third one is V square minus U square equals 2AS. And then you had the fourth one, that is the distance traveled in nth second, which is equal to U plus A times n minus half. And the fifth one is the stopping distance represented by ds, which is equal to minus U square by 2A. So these are the equations of motion, which is very important for this chapter also. Along with this, you have the next, which we considered was the motion under gravity. So what happens when the object is under the experience of gravity? What is the changes which has to be done, and all those things we studied in that. So in the motion in a plane, what was the exact summary of motion in a plane? If I have to tell that in one statement, it was said that the two-dimensional motion is the consequence of, so the two-dimensional motion is the consequence of two one-dimensional motions acting simultaneously. Two one-dimensional motion acting simultaneously. Motion acting simultaneously is the exact summary of the motion in a plane. And we had also studied about the concept of projectile motion as well as the circular motion. So even the circular motion is also important, where you had the projectile motion as well as the circular motion. So these are the utmost important concepts. So we may need this or we may not need this. I wouldn't tell that, because it depends on the concept how we approach to it. So projectile motion as well as the circular motion.